Well, when I taught geometry and algebra two with freshmen, the only thing that works is being a dictator. I tried groups and things, and especially in the afternoon, like fourth hour, I do the all girls class loves group, but of course they like group because they can socialize.
Mhm.
And so I try to do some student-centered but teacher-directed, because if I don't keep control, it just turns into social fest. Whereas, like when I used to think in geometry, we have to do group things or try to turn it into a living room. There's part of that works. So it really depends on your audience.
Mhm.
I know in basketball practice, when we have film and stuff, we'll turn into a living room by asking you guys, what do you notice about the team and that kind of stuff. But you've got a smaller group, you have 12 guys, all very motivated and want to beat somebody. It's a little easier to do that in that setting. But I'd say, and Matt, that you've got a lot of different styles where certain people would never do that, and some people are very comfortable doing that.
Socratic seminar can be, in discussion, can be a little boardroom-esque.
Mhm.
A lot more formal in terms of what you're asking them to do as far as, making sure that they have well-reasoned and supported interpretations. They're constantly referencing the text to make their comments and reflect on and respond to each other, really asking questions. It's not something where you just, let's brainstorm, talk about this issue. It's definitely feels a little more boardroom-like in that scenario.
They're much better behaved, I feel like, on those days. I love those days because then we try and just have like discussion in class without circling up and having that formal like requirement. That's when it gets into like living room time.
Yeah, I think so too.
Mhm. Second question, what kind of boardroom stories are you most called to make, and how can listening to your audience influence and affect that kind of storytelling? I think anytime we're asked to stand up in front of our staff, you kind of take on a whole new persona than you typically would in front of like the lunch table. And I think that different grade levels, you change a little bit depending on, I have to be really goofy with my freshmen, and I have to be really honest with my seniors. It feels like, in order for them to trust me. And it says, what age range of children do you most come in contact with? Other people's children. What are the specific needs of the age range in terms of stories and storytelling? And I just would say honesty. With the older kids, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like with the ninth graders, I have to entertain them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree. I have to just break away. Sometimes I'm looking out there and when the behavior's good, that's sometimes a bad sign because they're not engaged.
But that goes back to kind of like adapting to your audience too. But when you see things, you've got this really rigid lesson plan and you're just looking out there and all the faces are
Glazed over.
Yeah, but it's time to
Yeah, I'm not
change
nearly
that
as
up,
rigid in writing a lesson plan for a ninth grade algebra 1 class as I would be for, say, an algebra 2 class. Which I'm going to follow that pretty close, whereas definitely some flexibility.
Yeah.
But I think people feel more comfortable in that living room kind of setting. It connects people more. It's just more real. And if we want to be authentic, for us to come up, in an authentic way, and for them to feel safe sharing, and that we keep it like that. Not where it's you get to say whatever you want, but you just I don't know.
I think that has more to do with your, like, the environment that you as a teacher are create. What I'm saying? Than the actual, because there are plenty of kids. For me with the sophomores, that's who I know. That's who I'm good with. like, you have to be super clear with your expectations and your demands of them, like, so that's more boardroom-esque. And yet, because those other kids, well, I forgot to write it down, I didn't know you said that, I didn't, so it's like, you still have to be, you have to run it like a boardroom, and yet with your personal interaction with them,
Right,
build that living room feel.
Right,
So it's like this
exactly.
balance of both, where if you really want results, you better still keep your act together.
Yeah.
But then find that time to be more living room with them so that they go, okay, but she likes me and I like this class, so I'm gonna do the boardroom stuff.
Well, and if you're too living room, they don't take you seriously when you
Right.
need them to perform.
Let's compliment having a 6 that way.
But
Is
this
that
is
it's
such
too
a
much
it
of a-
bites in the butt, like you think it's, I did that with my all boys class last year. I remember vividly, like the first month going, why are you guys so quiet? This is so boring. And then like that, like the next month, I've never written so many referrals and like, it was total chaos and I had to call home all the time. I mean, we got rid of the boys class because of that class. Like it was just like, they were terrible. But I remember saying them to them, like, come on guys, let's go. And I was like, oh, that bit me hard.
And isn't it interesting that they took it 180 degrees
Yes.
from,
You open
oh,
up-
she's giving us
you open up
permission,
that flood-
now we're gonna
flood-
totally.
Oh my gosh, every day was.
So then the lesson you learn is in a situation like that, you just have to give a little, like let a little rope out at a time and not, and I get that, like some classes are painful. Like you were talking about, like,
First hour.
like it's so painful and you want them to just bust open and start talking.
I just wanted to say hi in the morning. Hey guys, how's it going? Did you have a good weekend?
I know.
Yeah.
Crickets
Oh, me too.
chirping.
Me too.
Okay, good.
Then
There's
I
always
s-
one kid that feels bad. It's like, good. How about you, Mr. I'm like, thanks.
Thank you, I do that too.
Yeah,
Thanks for responding to one person.
yeah.
I just start talking to myself.
But it's true too, depending on your class. Like, my 5th hour is so ADD, it's unreal. So you have to keep it more boardroom and directed because the minute you let it go a little bit, it's just like pop, pop, pop. They're all
They
over.
probably
the
come
place.
from my class.
Mhm.
Show me your fit that roster.
See, that's something that I'm
Oh,
having
sure.
to
I
learn
bet I had, I
because
bet I just had half of it.
the last 3 years, when I came back full-time, I was part-time for 9 years and I just taught bio. And then the last 3 years I took on physiology as my elective. And this year, like the class is finally taking off, which is exciting, but now all seniors are in it because they sign up for it first. And I'm struggling with like how to run a senior class because I still teach it like I'm teaching sophomores. So I'm always like,
Yeah.
okay, we're gonna play a game and then there's gonna be prizes and and they're just like, you're gonna make us do a worksheet right now? But I don't know, like, since it's still a content-based class,
Right.
it's not like I can be like, okay, we're just gonna sit around and talk and discuss this idea about the skeletal system today, because it doesn't work like that, you know? So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like, and
What do you
then-
think if the rib bone was gone?
Right.
The phalange.
Yes.
Ponder.
Let's just say phalange.
Just simple.
That's right, I'm trying to figure out that balance, because I can see that they're like a little bit too grown up for some of this stuff, but I don't have like,
Have her, she's quiet.
Maybe you ask them, how can I make this better for next year?
well, they're all great kids, it's not even like, none of them are telling me it's bad, they're just, I'm struggling more with like, two, they're always gone for TECA, and then they have this
Oh, yeah.
college visit, they have this thing, and I'm like, 11 kids are gone every class period, I can't even run the class because they're never here.
Yeah.
So it's just been an interesting, like, I have to learn how to deal with seniors better, because I'm real good at sophomores.
It's amazing to me how many kids have dentist appointments at 7:00 in the morning. I just don't understand that. So one other question that I had as a result of the first video was, they were talking about personifying, like giving personification to an inanimate object, clearly. And so I was wondering, and I really was thinking about you, Pat, and you, well, all of you that don't teach English, like, is there ever a time where you personify a concept in order for kids to understand it, like give it characteristics? And I thought about Jurassic Park, the original Jurassic Park movie, you know how they have the DNA and it's like dancing around? You know, that's what I thought. And I thought, I wonder if teachers, because we get a teach motif and, blah, 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 and we talk about personification in literature, but do you ever personify a concept so that kids can understand that concept?
When you say personify, you mean real life examples are actually,
Like giving a human characteristic to a concept. So say, for example, you're trying to teach a really difficult formula in algebra, and she talked about telling the concept is a villain as opposed to the hero or whatever.
oh yeah, I'm sure I've done that probably more in geometry than algebra. One of the problems with algebra is the variable schedule, and, 'cause I used to do all these things in 4 days a week instead of 5, so you're really losing 20% of your teaching time. But you still have to cover the same amount of material, even more now that they've added statistics and probability into the list, so there's all these topics. But yeah, I've done that some in the past. Sometimes it just kind of comes to me, but particularly I've done that geometry with cylinders. I've used the 10-man example. What would be the volume of the 10-man and stuff like that.
Trying to think.
You can say no.
Okay,
No, I'm sure I do.
I do that all the
Come
time.
in dressed
just
as Hitler
terms of
one day,
giving
look
your
like-
examples,
Yeah.
like.
Well, your whole pickle thing with the Vlasics and the,
Oh,
what
yeah.
that's,
Classics and
yeah, I thought that was awesome.
Oh,
But even just today, teaching blood typing today, you're like teaching that type A blood has type B antibodies, which is why if you get type B blood, you have clumping of your blood, which can kill you. But, then you're saying like, instead of just saying the B antibodies, I'm like, so there's B soldiers in this thing, or in your body, prepared to fight against B blood, right? So all the time we kind of try to like give them analogies that are
that's really smart.
like people.
I would have liked science so much more.
I would
my
too.
teacher. Not to say I had bad teachers, but
Thank you.
But
You all look like you. It's awesome.
they probably
Call
are.
Hitler a 2-year-old, but.
There's just so much more you can do today, science.
That's true. A lot of it's
Besides
just
reading from
technology,
the-
because the picture, like the images
Yeah.
you show, and there's so much more, yeah.
are you guys ready to move on to the second video?
I will say, what I really liked about the first one that made me just think was what she said about like, when somebody jumps into your story and like, and I knit too, or totally, or whatever she
Yeah.
said, and that's so our kids, right? And
Interrupting.
but it was such a good reminder for me to just not be like, that was a stupid thing to say, let's move on, but just even, we both, and we have this going on, whatever, like to just even that little thing. could, like,
Acknowledgement, yeah.
acknowledge it, but keep them directing, and I don't know, I thought that was like.
Well, I thought of that, 'cause when I watched that, I have a short story I tell them about my grandmother in my old girls class, about how she was this brilliant businesswoman in the 20s and 30s when, Southern women were supposed to pretty much cook and clean. And she did all that. She also managed to run an antique business, and she was ruthless. She'd buy a grandfather or grandmother clock for $50 and then make my grandfather refinish it and redo the clockwork. He actually did all the work, but then she would sell it. She'd make 10 to 20 times as much because she was just ruthless in the ways that she would do all this. But so I talk about her being a role model, and then all of a sudden I say, you guys have any female role models before the hands just go flying, and it gets pretty interesting. It's almost always a grandmother and aunt.
I think that it's hard with the younger kids because so many of them want to tell their stories constantly. And if you were to hit and acknowledge and connect to all of those stories, that could monopolize the entire lesson.
Yeah.
When some of them just jump in anyway without even raising their hand. They're like, oh yeah, well one time and I'm just
Yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to be
The
like,
best
okay,
is-
you simmer
Or
down.
the one who's got 7 different stories and they want to tell all 7.
Right.
Yeah.
I've got a girl like that. I have to be very careful. Is there anybody else have Emily Abernethy?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You will.
She's like that, huh?
She's like the boys who blurt. She's a female blurter.
That would be different.
Yeah, 2 of them.
I think, but here's the thing, like in public speaking, when I'm giving them formal instruction, which is rare, it's like the first 10 minutes of class and then they're working and we're doing things.
Yeah.
If my child starts talking, I'll look at him and I'll keep talking because he will like, blah, 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 and it's like, let me get through this. Or the honors kids on the flip side, they all have questions, and I just say to them, can you wait until I finish the explanation?
Yes, I know.
And if I don't answer your question, we'll go back to it.
Right.
So it's kind of a fine line to balance.
It depends on your class too.
Yeah.
Like we have
Oh,
a
yeah.
listener to like she was saying, like the listener to validate, I think, and then to draw in and how it's been fun to hear how everybody uses that, because look at how that impacts our classes every day. Because we could crush that kid that does blurt out if we keep shutting them down like all the time, and then the other kids that we don't
If you don't
allow
let
that,
kids-
right? But you didn't.
The other kids
they
are
dominate
hating
too.
it.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Like you have other kids just looking at you like,
Please don't make them stop.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
are they all just look
Make
like
it
look
go
down?
away.
I know.
Like,
I know.
Yeah.
She's like that. So one time in band camp, it's the way she doesn't tell that particular story. She's like that, and that
I went to band camp.
won't shut up.
Actually did.
The best is when you're telling a great
Did you have fun at
story,
band camp?
and somebody raises their hand and you're like, yes, or like, can I go to the bathroom?
They always do ask that at the worst moment.
Oh, yeah.
Or you're like
stunned sometimes.
this powerful, and like, any questions? And you're like, yes, and you're like, can I go to the bathroom?
I feel like going,
Sure.
Yeah.
I was telling them the first day, I'm like, don't do that, that's a teacher buzzkill.
it totally
Because
is.
we think you're excited about what we're talking about, and then you just have to go potty. You have to go potty.
No, they don't have to go. They just want to leave. They just want to go.
I want to leave too, but
I know.
we don't ever get to do that. Okay. Second video, her first question is, Donald Davis's story about the Grand Canyon is hilarious and touching in on its own right. And his mindset in the first part of the storybooks with the audience with something universal, taxes. What is one way you can hook your audience through a shared experience?
What do you think of Carol Dweck when she got mentioned in mindset? Then?
I don't know. But I think the easiest way to hook in kids in high school is, well, when I was in high school,
personal anecdote.
way back when I was in high school.
The one thing that really seems to work with a lot of them is when I talk about the different technologies of music over the years and how math has progressed into what does it mean to have digital music as compared to music on a wax surface where a diamond needle wrote on it. And they obviously don't think about all that stuff. And you guys should do that as a math science combination thing, the history of recorded music. And they, of course, they're fascinated by that because they all care about music. And so they want to hear stories about, like, oh yeah, I remember we'd play basketball at this one park, and we would play at this park because it was far from houses. We could crank up the stereo in the car when we had the 8-tracks playing. And the 8-tracks were convenient for that sort of thing, whereas, like a cassette wasn't quite as good for that, although, and of course,
Or a record player.
and then the questions, well, what had the better quality? And so we talked about that, and they just love it. They see the purpose of the math and science there because of the benefit they get out of what they have now. So maybe you understand how MP3 or digital music works. I don't have any idea. Most of us don't, because it's just another way to listen to music. Yeah. But what do they mean digital? It must have something to do with numbers, right? Somebody will go, binary code, and oh, okay, you're thinking, that's good, we're getting close. But so then I make them look that up. At least 3 out of 30 do.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good.
3
I
hour
think,
engagement.
the main way that I teach is through inquiry. So I think a question is one of the most powerful, modes of bringing people in, gives them a little purpose to, they kind of recall things from their own background knowledge and experiences. Just gives them a little bit of a focus and just, I don't know, I think questioning can be a really powerful tool to just push them in the path that, you're kind of going in.
I agree with that. And I got that from you years ago when I taught American Lit that one year. And so now, I mean, clearly, I always have a question posted for either my ninth graders or my seniors. This is what we're going to focus on for this book. But I think you're absolutely right. Sometimes I have to remind myself to go back to that question and not just at the beginning.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I like have the question and then sometimes I forget. But like, that was guiding us the whole time.
Yeah.
I actually, that reminds me, I need to
I have to go.
Oh gosh, you're going to be late. I'll send an email about next week's meeting.
I heard from Shannon.
Treats.
It's going to be something.
Right.
See ya.
Bye.
I was hoping the cross-country people would show up here today.
She said, channeling your listeners' attention from where you've been into the world of the story can be challenging. In what ways do your listeners tell you where they're coming from? Well, I think we've already established that they just tell us. It seems like, in what ways can you listen to them from the beginning? I don't really understand that
I
question.
don't either.
So let's just go to my questions.
Okay.
I thought it was interesting when she said, if you're anxious about your speech, it makes the audience anxious. How can we help students relieve their anxiety about public speaking? Because I've never really thought about it, but if you really think about it, when you see somebody really nervous and anxious,
You're kind of
you're
like,
like, oh God,
You wanna arrest him.
yeah. And so I wonder, how can we alleviate that for the good of everybody? And I always say to my students, nobody, when they're clearly nervous, I'll say, we're all here to support you. We all want you to do well. Nobody here wants you to fall on your face. We know you can do it.
I've done some meditation in my classes, like shut off the lights. I just take them through some either a guided visualization, or we just sit there and have them really focus on their breathing and just really pay attention to the rise and fall of the chest and deep breath, exhale slow. I mean little breathing techniques, and then it just kind of makes them
Before a speech?
before or something that we're getting ready to do, just to kind of ground them a little bit, or if it's something I know that's a little more serious, or I just feel the energy is just not good, and it usually helps. So I started doing that in the last 2 years, and they really actually like it. I try to tell them, don't go to sleep, please. Really just focus on, if you hear noises, acknowledge it, let it come in, out. Somebody coughs, if you hear somebody breathing, just acknowledge it, but try not to think about anything. Just just be still in, the moment. But I think that can help a little bit.
I think just creating a safe class from the get-go too helps with that. Even if it's something as simple as raising your hand, answering a question.
Yep.
Because I always try to take the link crew, what we learned with link crew, I'll make you right.
Yeah.
Just try to guess. And I always tell them, as long as I know you're trying, I'm cool with you not having the right answer.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think that helps. But with public speaking, I think that's just
Nature of the beast. Although I've had lots of kids say to me, I feel so much more comfortable now than I did at the
Oh,
beginning of the year. So
Well,
something's
the
happening.
old thing of sending kids up the board and do a problem. Can I take a friend with me? Somebody don't want to go up and do it.
What?
I'll say, okay, entire row, okay, you guys.
Go do it.
Problem. Can Jeremy come with me? Well, boys are enthusiastic, but girls usually, some girls want another girl to go there with them. It's like they can't go to the bathroom unless they have somebody to go with them. You guys don't get
That's
that?
never an option
You
in
don't
my
get-
days.
You don't have them ask though, sometimes can have a partner.
Well, we don't.
Now, when it's a really, really difficult problem, I'll say, you can find somebody to help you.
You can phone a friend.
Yeah, if you can have someone, YouTube can go over there and do this problem for you together. And you can do that. But I'm talking about something like 3x plus 5 equals 15, something like they should all do by themselves. But still, can I have a friend? No. Let's see what you can do. And again, and of course, some of them get really pressured with that. I can't do it, I'm nervous.
I don't know the answer.
Well, I didn't ask the answer, I was just asking if you guys have that.
3x plus 5 equals
Yeah, that is-
15.
Oh, 3x plus 5 equals 15. Subtract 5 on both sides. It's going to be 5 is the answer.
What is it, 3x?
3x plus 5 equals 15.
You got 9, 7, 3x is 10.
3.3333333.
I don't want a fractional form, I want an improper form.
I did everything through calculus. And
I won't let them
don't
give it to me in
remember a damn
decimal form.
I love that.
You were right, did you say 1.33 or 3.66?
So 3.33333333.
3.1. No,
I don't know the answer.
so 9.
It was 3x plus 5 equals 10, is that what you wrote down?
3x plus 5 equals 15 is
It was
what you
15,
said.
okay,
We're gonna let that one-
so then you're right, 3.23, 3 1/3.
Good job.
10 thirds would be what we said.
If I ever have
That's what would be on the
any
ACT.
success like that.
3x plus 5 equals.
We had a gentleman last year do a
10.
speech in American Art that when you really struggle, like he prepared a lot. And then pausing, I mean, he's just so nervous, and we ended up having, if you want, I gave him the option of doing it again, and he got up there and did it on a different day. But I think it was powerful for, hopefully for him, I mean, I don't. And
Did he do
hopefully for-
better?
He did, yeah, and then for the audience too, I meant to, and the good news was, like, when he was struggling, like, I don't think people were, I mean, I think they were in the moment on it, and then he, and then had to do it second semester too, that he did a better job, it just kind of got into a place where, and I never knew of any physical limitations he had, and just got into the, or accommodations, where just kind of looked at the speech, put him in a different thing. But I'm not, because I was like, how are we gonna get through it? How do we do? To your credit today, a couple of freshmen went, because we're doing a speech on Friday, and like Ms. McConnell and Ms. Gall, like they're answering questions, and we were talking about public speaking, and it's pretty cool. So
That's awesome.
they were good.
They're actually listening. It's amazing.
Yeah, they were kind of helping to generate, just ideas for the class and what we're gonna do. That's just pretty cool.
Did they want to yawn and stretch their jaw muscles?
We were talking about the thirds and, so.
That's good.
So credit to Mrs. Moritz and the storyboard.
You've also got to have them you also have to have them embrace that, we've talked about this, that vulnerability, but, you're giving yourself like some extra confidence that you might have, that, putting yourself out there is a really like scary thing for people, but like you said, I mean, like, you establish that safe environment from the get-go, we're all here to celebrate you, and just to kind of like, who cares what, I mean, I was gonna say, I know this sounds terrible, but like, out here, we will judge what you say, like, that, I mean, what you're putting out there, we're automatically gonna be thinking different things about it. So don't worry about that facet, just be like, for them to be comfortable in being themselves, and I think they struggle with that so much, just when they do come up, it's like a different face, and I'm like, not seeing your like real self, you know what I'm saying? Not that I always like show mine, but I'd like to think I don't really have like a teacher face, truly.
It's weird too, the difference between, I mean, we get up in front of people all day, but then you get up in front of your peers to present something that's totally different as well. Just adds a new social element to it. So I think that's part of that vulnerability that they struggle getting over.
But it's okay to like strive with that, to grapple with it, so.
The last question I have is, I especially like the idea of ending the speech with eye contact and a moment to let the story settle and resonate. Because so many of my kids, not only my ninth graders, but the kids in public speaking, when they're done with a speech, like a really super powerful speech, they'll just say, and that's it.
And that's it, I'm done.
And I would love to be able, and I'm going to work on this with my public speaking class, I would love for them, when they're done, just to make eye contact, let the message resonate, and to give them permission to not say, and that's it, or I'm done. Like, we should feel that it's over. I don't know, I thought that was a really interesting thing.
And it's powerful, what a performance piece as well, in terms of the skill set to have. Think about all the dramatic pauses we have, or the voice, how we change that or use it. And that gives the kids the power to do it. It's cool when you see it done well. You know, public speaking kids or theater kids versus maybe others that aren't as practiced or don't know how to take that risk.
Why is someone yelling?
Speech and debate,
It's a speech
practice
kid.
their
Do they
speeches in different
yell?
rooms.
Yeah,
Some of them.
that guy does.
Ooh.
Might be like more performance based.
I like to argue test questions.
That's a little debate right there.
Did you debate kids argue test questions?
Really?
Like what?
You didn't word it, I didn't understand the way you worded that. How should I word it better? Well, I would have worded it this way. Well, when you become a teacher, you can write a
The
test and
question
word it
you
that
mean?
way. Uh-huh.
Yeah. I had a kid, he must be a junior now.
You should tell them, you know, I used to work that way, but kids were complaining about that, so I would reword it.
I was just like,
I might have changed that.
I had a kid a couple years ago, or actually it was last year, so he must be a junior, came into my public speaking class and he thought he had registered for SPAR, which is social, political, argumentative, blah, blah, blah. He's like, well, when are we gonna start debating? I said, that's not this class.
Is that even a class?
It's a class we used to offer when Jared Robinson was here 10 years ago. We don't offer it anymore, but it's still in the Pathfinder. And that's what's confusing to kids.
Why is it still there?
Because we're not supposed to eliminate classes that might come back. You wanna bring it back?
Grammar lab.
Me as a speech and debate teacher, I'd be like, good job.
That's awesome.
You spoke. You
Thank
are
you.
awesome.
No, you wouldn't. You have your kids do speeches. You know what's good and what's not.
So I feel like I'm terrible at grading speeches though, because I don't listen to them, so I don't write anything down, and then I just like check off boxes, and they're like, do I get feedback? And I'm like, no, I was watching, sorry. I'm terrible, I'm not very good at it.
Mm.
Or else I don't watch and I just write down feedback, and then they're like, this doesn't make sense, and I'm like, yeah, I wasn't actually watching what you did, so I don't really know. Like, it's one or the other, I can't do both.
What do we have tick marks on our sheet? That's the number of times you said like and
Like
I
as.
do for my summary response ones, I do have a kid count how many times.
Like so.
Like
Like
so.
Oh, that's,
Like I put a kid
when
in charge of
when I
it.
do let a kid
And they
speak
like
up.
get all
and I
about
do
it,
that,
like at the end, they're like,
like,
how many times
and
did I
then,
say
like,
it?
we did,
They're like bombard the kid
like,
who's counting.
mm,
They're in a competition.
well, it's something that distracts your audience because they're counting the number of times
Like,
you say
so
like and
I have a
not
kid that
really
will
paying
count
attention to
like
what you're
this
saying.
so kids can see it.
Oh, I do
Ooh, that would-
count quietly.
Well,
Yeah, I need
it's
to-
not in public speaking. It's just in class because
all
I
you like
mentioned
to
it.
do is-
I mentioned it once after a fishbowl discussion. I said I couldn't get beyond how many likes you people were saying. And then he started counting. But it is distracting, those filler words. And so one girl decided that she wasn't going to say anymore, so now she says
I use filler words when I'm talking.
Oh, I do too.
I think we all
You
do.
should write
Um,
like a little short story that
I
they
just
have
think it's
to
interesting.
analyze and answer some questions. But fill the story with a bunch of likes and so it makes it so much harder for them to read.
Yeah. So
That would be
like I
like
was
fun.
so
Yeah.
I think we're done. Woo-hoo.
Are we like done?